Hey everybody, it's Jane Hamill. How are you guys? I am so excited because this episode we are talking about something different. We are talking about what happens when you've been doing a certain kind of business for a pretty long time and you completely pivot and decide to do something different. So I'm pumped. I have a special guest today, Adeline Olmer from French Secrets. Adeline, how are you?
Hi, Jane. I'm great. Thanks.
I'm so glad you're
excited to
here.
be here.
This is so fun. Like, seriously, like, this is what we call work. Come on.
Right.
Come on. Okay, so I've known Adeline for a long time. She has been in my programs. She's, purchased my courses. We've worked together as she's been a private client, and I've seen her go through lots of different stages of her business, right? And recently she decided, you know what? I think I want to do this instead. And I decided to invite her on because, first of all, what she's doing is really, really cool. She's really cool, number two. But number three, there's a lot of people out there who decide to pivot in a fairly, I'm not going to say drastic, but significant way. Like when I had my retail store and my wholesale line, I sold it when I was 40, and people were like, "Oh, you're so brave." And I'm like, well, I'm only 40, but whatever, right? So Adeline, I want to get into your story. And we're going to talk about what it was you were doing, why you decided to switch, all of the good stuff. But let's start out with telling everybody who you are and what do you do?
Okay. Well, as you said, I'm Adeline Olmer, and I'm French and grew up there and now live in the United States and have for a long time, lived between the two cultures. And I've been a designer and artist all my life. That's my passion. And so I was designing clothes, not from anything. I didn't learn, how to do it. I came from it from a sculptural point of view. I love structure, and I decided it would be really fun to create clothing that were very structured, like we used to have in the 40s, 50s. And it was fun. It was great. It was exciting, but it wasn't easy, which is how I got to meet Jane, and really learned a lot. But in the end, I was actually still frustrated. And so I've always had a way of talking by telling stories. It just is what I do. And so one day I was telling Jane a story about something we were talking about, and she said, you should just write those down. And I had a blog, and I was writing my blog posts maybe twice a month, once a month. I wasn't really regular with them. And I don't know, it was when Jane said that, it just hit me. I was like, oh my God, let me write my stories. And I made a commitment to myself and to Jane, because we were working together, to do it every week. And I'd never done that. And it's been 8-9 months, and I have not missed a week. There's no way, whatever happens in my life, I will still get that out every week. And it was, I don't know, I can't describe it. It was just exciting.
So, okay, guys, so you picture Adeline. She has a very cool clothing line. You had some very unique coats, wrappy things. They were definitely architecturally and structurally simple, but different. And there was always a little something about them that was cool. Accessories as well. You're selling a physical product, right? And so you were blogging to support the products, correct? Okay. And so, so we're having the conversation, and I think I'm probably saying to you, you have to be more consistent, which I'm sure that was the first time you ever heard me say that, right? But this time you totally listened, right? And so what was at that point, we were still selling products. So tell me what happened. So you're blogging, you're trying to sell more products. You're doing, you've done shows, you've done wholesale.
Right.
You used to have a retail store too, right? Back in the day.
Yeah, not in fashion, but I did. Yes.
Yeah. Like Adeline's been around. She knows her stuff. She knows style. She knows fashion, food, human nature, relationships, all of it. Right. So what made you finally say, all right, forget it, I'm going to blog regularly? And what was the reason? Like, why did you start?
Well, two things. One, I was frustrated with my business. It wasn't growing in the way I had envisioned it. And so I was just frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And when I thought about writing these blog posts, I was not abandoning my business at all in my mind. I said to myself, okay, I'm going to put it on temporary hold and come back to it with less of a hands-on, more as a designer, but I thought I'll work with other people to produce it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to know that's still in my mind. But so that was my security blanket. I wasn't giving it up. But I started writing, and it brought me so much pleasure and feedback. I started getting comments and reactions, and people were responding. And it's hard to explain. It brought me such joy to write these stories.
So basically, you've been doing blogging for years, and it's been nice, fun.
Yeah.
Then you said, I'm taking the gloves off. I'm going to write stories instead of blogging with a purpose, with an intent to sell. And
Right.
Changed everything.
That changed everything.
So tell us, I don't think we've even told people, like, what's the plan? Where are you going from here?
Okay. So writing these every week, as I said, was extraordinary. And then I realized that I've always wanted to write a book. I had no idea what I was going to write a book about, but I have always wanted to write a book. And all of a sudden I went, this is it. This is the book. It's all these stories. And, the stories, they enlighten sort of experiences. The stories can be about my past, can be about growing up in France, can be about, just about anything. But they're also about things that are happening in my life. For instance, just before Thanksgiving, my son lost a dear friend who was somebody that I knew very well. And I wrote a blog about it because I was in such pain, I needed to work through it.
Yeah.
And the story brought me to the conclusion that I was so gifted to have known him, even if his life was short. And so when I was done with it, I felt blessed instead of just in pain. And that I realized from the comments that I got from people that it helped them also, even though they weren't going through it. So that was one of the motivators for writing a book, that it could actually help people. And then I started, I'm starting doing workshops to show people the power of recording your story. Your stories are incredibly powerful, and we live in a world where we're so busy. We're talking about what are we going to do tomorrow? What are our goals? Where are we going? But we don't often stop to acknowledge where we've been, who we are. And I realized that it's incredibly satisfying. And at those moments, when you start questioning, well, what's my life about? Suddenly you have a record. Oh, this is my history. This is who I am. This is what we've done. And it's incredibly, it gives you roots. Mm-hmm. And it gives you a sense of purpose to go back to.
is it just like at this point, is it just like a bonus that other people really like them? Or like,
Would I be writing them anyway? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, without question.
And do you only publish the ones you think people are going to like, or you just, yeah. Okay.
No, to be honest with you, since the pressure of writing every week, and I don't have a collection of stories that I can pull on and say, okay, I'm not going to write this week. Yeah. I literally have to write them every week. And there's always a little bit of an anxiety, especially if you get a lot of comments. Oh, that last one was great. Thank you. I always go, okay, what am I going to write this week? But I realized that I said, you know what? It's okay if I don't write a good story. I'm just going to write a story. And I give myself permission to have it not be, not be great.
That's really hard to do. We were actually, Adeline is one of my private coaching clients, which I don't have very many, but we were just talking about this, and we were talking about podcasts, and I was like, this podcast, I didn't really like it very much. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. I only heard one, or like half of one. And God knows not every podcast of mine is going to be a 10 out of 10, right? Yeah. So
it's true. And here's the surprising part. I'll get comments about people loving it, and I'll go, oh, see, I just need to let go. I can't judge it.
Yeah.
And I can't be blocked by what other people will think. It doesn't matter.
And so has that gotten easier since you've been more consistent?
Yeah, it certainly has. Incredibly. I mean, it used to take me an entire week. And the blog comes out Friday morning at 6:30. Mm-hmm. And so Thursday night, I would still be, editing and getting it ready. And now, Tuesday, it's almost done. It's like, nice. Incredibly.
And so, okay, so you went from selling physical products, be it, approaching retailers with your line, selling, you've definitely had some good shows, you've sold online. You said, okay, I'm frustrated with that. It's not where I want it to be. It's harder than I thought it would be. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
Kind of it. Okay. And so you decided, okay, I'm taking the gloves off. Jane's always said I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be consistent, but in this new way. I'm not taking credit. Don't get me wrong.
No, but you should. I mean, yes.
I've been saying that for 6 years. So like, whatever. At this point, like it clicked for you. You're like, I'm going to do this because I'm so sick of the way I've been doing things. Was that it really?
Yeah, maybe.
You're like a different person. Like you're like a content queen, right? Whereas before I felt like we were dragging it out of you.
Yeah. Yeah, this, without question, this is my nature. I tell stories. I've always told stories. I just never wrote. I wrote them. Yes, I've always written them in my own notebooks, but I've never written them to the public. And there's just something incredibly empowering about just opening my life up.
Yeah. Okay, so you're blogging regularly. And why do you keep doing it? You personally like it, but I'm guessing you're not making money with it at this point.
I'm not.
Obviously, I know the answer to that question, you guys.
But that's okay. I mean, not everybody else, but I'm not. And that's a thing. That's not easy.
If it's not profitable yet, why do you continue to do it in this format? Like you have a blog every week, you send an email every week, you're doing a little bit of social, you're getting like organic people like naturally just following you, spreading the word.
Yeah, it's really
every
great.
Time we talk, it's like, you're like, oh my God, I got this many more email subscribers. I have no idea where they're coming from.
I know.
You know where they're coming from? They're coming from the fact that you're consistent with your marketing. You're consistent with your content. So why keep doing it if it's not profitable? What's like, tell me.
Because it's a book.
Yeah.
And so every week I'm writing about the book. I'm writing for the book. So that, that's my goal, and that's my vision. And, they're in the same way that every week a blog is going to get written, this book is going to get published. There is no question for me.
these workshops are going to be taught, these
Yeah,
lecturing is happening, the seminars you're doing.
absolutely. And so the other part of that is I realize how happy it makes me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just makes me incredibly happy to communicate and to record my life. And I realized that anyone can do that. You know, that recording your life, and it doesn't have to be in a story, but it has to be enough to tell you about the story.
So when you say record, do you mean like write or actually like record it in a microphone?
You can do either way.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Got it.
Whatever is easiest for you. Personally, I write. I like writing things down, so I do it that way. But I realized that, you know, this is something I can teach people that doesn't cost, you know, you don't have to go change your life. You don't have to adopt a new religion, you know, or, you know, a new form of living. You just, you know, you can just spend a little bit of time. It's like like having a great, you know, a journal where you're grateful. Except it's more than that, because it's recording your, you know, it's recording your history. And I realized that I can show people how to do that.
Or the people, okay, so you're like, all right, F it. I'm just going to write what I want on this blog. I'm frustrated. I'm just going to do what I want. How long was it that you were into it? You're like, wait a minute, this actually, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to not close the door completely on selling physical products ever, but for now I'm going to take the focus on that towards writing the book and being a speaker. Like, how did that go over with your family and friends? And who cares? And was it hard for you? Was there a point where you're like, I can't do this, I have to just go back to selling stuff? Like tell me about the pivot.
You mean, I didn't hear the last part. Do I have to go out and what? Sell some stuff?
Like you decided you have your site, and then you're blogging about the content topics are changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're selling a fashion product, you're probably not going to be writing a blog, maybe not, usually not, about a death, or you have like some amazing stories of like France and the Eiffel Tower and like all this cool stuff. So at what point were you like, all right, there's no going back, and I am now going from a product designer to a writer?
Oh, when did that happen? Probably about.
Was it hard? Like, was it?
No, it probably happened 3 or 4 months into it, or maybe even 3 months. It was the feedback.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
When I started, you know, running into my friends, and they said, "Oh my God, you know, I loved your story," or "I read them every week," you know, I just went. It just kind of hit me, you know. Oh, wow. It was incredibly powerful. And so that was it. I mean, you know.
So did it make you, so you were like, oh my God, this is working. This isn't hard.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, this is working. And oh my God, I'm telling people, you know, about my stories, and it's making them think. A lot of comments I get are, wow, I never thought of it that way. Thank you. You know, you gave me a different perspective. That's really cool.
That's how I feel when I read them. I read it every week, not because I have to, because I actually don't have to.
You don't?
No, I mean, even if you're a client, I don't read everybody's everything, right?
Yeah.
I can't. I read them every week, and I'm always taking something away that I just a perspective that I really love. I really do. I really like your stuff. So so then for you, was it almost like, well, there's no choice. This is not a hard decision at all?
It wasn't a hard decision. There is no choice. I hate the fact that it's, you know, that it's, you know, that it was financially, it slowed everything up, but I have such confidence in it and such joy out of doing it that, you know, that the workshops and the lectures was just natural.
Mm-hmm. And so can we talk about that finance for a second? Like when you're like,
Sure.
okay, so I'm not monetizing right now. Do you have some tips for people like how you live and like any like
Well,
you know
let's also say that I didn't completely give up monetizing, right? The blog, I send it out as an email, and then there's a link to read the story online. And underneath the first paragraph, right, I have a PS, something you'll like. And in there, I do promote either things I like, books that I've read, or the other day there was these farm fresh flowers that were so beautiful. So, I was promoting those, or promoting's the wrong word, but making them available to people.
yeah, I mean I would say promoting, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about you though, you're so non-promotional. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and then I have my products also, because I still have I designed a line of cards that came out of photographs that I took in France. So I'm always in the PS. There's always that, and that has produced. People are still buying. So
Yes.
I didn't close the door completely.
And I think in the future you'd like to not only be like, an expert speaker, whatever lady,
Yeah,
I'm saying it wrong, but you'd like to create products in the future too, right? Kind of like
very much.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I love beautiful things, and I love sort of turning people on to things. So I don't ever want to give that up, but I can't do both right now.
Mm-hmm.
So by having the products that I already have, and making those still available to people, I'm okay.
That's the plan. Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you have yes, people were very positive, like the readers, and I know you've been growing your list pretty organically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have, you know, feedback from friends and family like, wait, you're crazy. This is not what you do. You're a designer. Like, what do you
No,
do?
not at all.
Okay, fabulous.
Not at all, which is really interesting. No, and I think it has to do with the fact that they enjoy reading them too. um, Everyone in my family is reading it, which is, even my son the other day, who said to me, Mom, I don't always read your stuff. But the other day he said, no, I really like reading them because they give me a point of view about you that I didn't necessarily know. It's just great.
Would you read us a story? I don't know if that's something you could do.
I will. I'm not, yeah, sure.
Why not? I mean, you're an author. Let's go, baby.
All right.
Okay, let's do it. This is so fun.
Okay, so this is a story. It's entitled, We Said It Was a Toy, They Said It Was a Bomb. The apartment my mother grew up in Paris was in the 10th arrondissement. It was large. My grandfather was a médecin, a doctor, and the apartment included his office. My memory of the space is limited because I was young when I was there, but I do remember the long hallway that led from the living room past my grandfather's office on past all the other rooms. During World War I, my grandfather served as a doctor. Like so many veterans, he brought home a souvenir. His choice was a big artillery shell, about 18 inches tall and 12 inches in diameter, a bomb. Proudly, he displayed it in his office. My mother and brothers have fond memories of playing with this large artillery shell. Its size and girth made it perfect to roll down the long hallway. Of course, there was never any question that the bomb was safe. It had been disarmed, we were assured. We learned the unfortunate reality of live artillery shells and landmines during my childhood summers in the south of France, when occasionally we would hear a distant explosion, only to discover that someone had either been killed or injured by stepping on an explosive device. They were still buried just below the ground surface, left over from the two world wars. It just wasn't safe to wander through the hills. The only real way to avoid triggering a landmine was to stay on the paths. Years later, after my grandparents passed away and my mother was cleaning out their apartment, she got to the infamous artillery shell. What to do? She decided to contact a collector of World War I memorabilia. When he arrived and saw the shell, he was delighted. Despite the abuse it received over the years, it was still in great shape. There was just one formality. An artillery expert needed to inspect the bomb to make certain it was really disarmed before anyone could remove it. No problem, my mother said, certain this was just a formality. When the expert arrived to examine the shell, my mother was busy with movers, packing and loading the awaiting trucks. So she showed him to my grandfather's office and returned to the chaos of the other rooms. A few minutes later, the expert reappeared. Madame, madame, he explained, everyone must leave the apartment immédiatement. Uncertain what the alarm was about, my mother just stared at him in confusion. What's the problem? She asked. The bomb, madame, may be live. We must evacuate the building now. No, no, monsieur, she replied. The bomb is disarmed. We've been playing with it for years, I assure you. However, at this point, he was no longer listening, but on the phone, giving the bomb squad the address and ordering the immediate evacuation of the building.
The whole building.
In the end, they evacuated more than just one building. My mother watched as they carried the bomb as if any small movement would cause it to explode. This was the same object that had been rolled, bumped, totally mistreated for years. What if it really was live, she thought, horrified, standing among the crowd as the bomb squad placed this now scary object in the containment vehicle and drove off. We were never told if the bomb was live or not, but the possibility is either terrifying or funny. Hard to know which.
Like most things, terrifying and funny at the same time.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
my God. I'm going to, for those of you listening on the podcast, go back to the, for those of you listening to the podcast, if you want to see the picture, because I got to show this picture. Sure. I mean, it's funny because nothing went wrong, but like, I had forgotten that part about how in the south of France, bombs would go off.
Oh, yeah. No, it was real. Look how big those were.
Look at that thing. And rolling it down this, I'm picturing this gigantic, like, Parisian apartment in the 10th arrondissement. And you're like, here you go. Oh, my God.
So, that's a family story. And, I read it to my mother and and my siblings read it and everybody laughed. I mean, it made them feel good,
We said it was a toy. They said it was a bomb, madame. That is very funny. But very real too. I mean,
it was real and it happened a lot.
Wow. That's incredible.
And not always, as well as our situation.
Yes. And I'm just imagining them like clearing out the neighborhood and you're like, my dog sat on that last night. Like, it's fine. Whatever.
Anyway,
so making this pivot, it's been a big deal. Like this is, I mean, you've been doing your line and products for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody else who is considering pivoting? Maybe they're a little bit frustrated like you were. Maybe they're just wondering if they're in the right place. What do you say to somebody who's listening right now thinking, wow, I wonder if I should be Adeline and be doing another thing, whatever that may be for them?
Yeah. That's a hard question. I would say, if you're going to do it, don't just play with it. Really commit to doing it because you're not going to find out without that commitment.
Yeah.
And so if something, if money's stopping you, then find a way to alleviate that. I took some things that that I needed, that I could sell at consignment stores, so just find alternatives and then commit to it. And and see what happens. I mean, give it 6 months at least, full in.
Yes. Full in.
Full in.
Again,
And don't ever be afraid that you can't go back. You can always go back. And I it's in my goals. I will go back to,
yes.
But it'll be from a different direction.
I love it that you did, like, just doing what you need to do, even if it's not maybe something you've thought of. Like, I have a client who still, like, works at Starbucks for years now, 20 hours a week. So that's her health insurance.
Yeah.
And she's, like, totally fine with it. And she's making good money, but she's like, I don't want to pay for my own health insurance. I'm good with this now. I like it,
Yeah.
And selling things at consignment, that's brilliant.
Yeah. You just find ways. And I'm not, I knew I was not going to stop writing. So.
Yeah. I have another client who they sold their entire bedroom set and made like $3,000 on that to buy some equipment.
Mm-hmm.
They moved in with her parents with their kids for a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but they didn't have a mortgage for a year and a half. But, you just do what you need to do, right?
You do that's true. You do what you need to do, and the most important thing, I think, if it's giving you pleasure, don't stop.
Yes.
Don't stop.
Oh.
Being stressed every day is not necessary. It really isn't. And that's, that's what the lectures are about, and the workshops, is to show people, that they can have joy from their lives. And it's so French, to stop and really enjoy your life. And writing about it, recording it, gives you the opportunity to enjoy it.
What if like I've looked at what do you say to someone like me who's like, my best friend sent me a bunch of letters that I sent her in college when she was going to Oxford and I had transferred from Boston University to not Oxford, FIT, right? And she sent me this whole stack of letters. She's like, I didn't want to throw them out. And I was like, these are horrible. Like I was writing my stories, I guess, but they were like humiliatingly awful. Like, right. What about that?
That is such a great question. That's such a great question. That's different. And I'll give you an example. I've always written. And when I was going through my divorce, I wrote every day, all my emotions, everything. And it is pure junk. It is not recording anything. It's just trivia. And, I go through those notebooks and just rip them out, because I don't want to read them. But there's a difference. There's, they're saying, I went to an amazing dinner party last night and met so-and-so. And the thing that made it really good or funny was that, the hostess forgot to turn the oven on and, there was no dinner. That's funny. Those are stories you could forget, but they're funny.
Yeah.
And
those are, I think, what you call them, those little moments, or it was just a glimpse, or what do you call those?
That the working title of my book is It Was Just a Glimpse, but It Changed My Life.
Yeah.
And
I think that's true. I do
too. I mean, it's stopping to be a little bit observant to your life. Mm-hmm. And if knowing that you're going to write, a story or an outline or whatever you want to do makes you slow down a little bit to say, what am I going to write about? What's happening to me right now? What am I going to record? Mm-hmm. That's very powerful.
I really didn't get it, but now I actually get it, Adeline. Mm-hmm. Now I think about when my kids were little and they were funny. And my friends or some people tell me stories of what they used to do and I don't remember it and I never write it down.
Exactly.
So it's not my nonsense, like college, blah, blah, blah. It's like, this happened and this is why it made a difference in my life today. Like
it's the difference, I think, is you're writing down the facts instead of the emotion, instead of dumping the emotion.
Right, right.
You know, dumping the emotion might be good, but it's certainly nothing you want to reread, you know.
You're not going to publish that stuff. No, no,
Nope.
no, no. Okay.
I'm not.
No. So if somebody wants to read your stories or maybe, you know, invite you to do a workshop or whatever, where should they go?
They go to my website, and it's French-secrets.com. Or they can send me an email at Adeline, Adeline, at French-secrets.com. And I'll get back to you. Absolutely. And when you go,
if you guys want to sign up for the stories and get a like really rockin', thought-provoking, like, I don't know, I don't have the adjectives to say it right, but thought-provoking, and you want to read them every week, stories. There's a bit.ly, right? Because I wrote it down earlier.
There's a bit.ly, yeah.
bit.ly/getyourstory. So bit.ly, get your story. But you'll find it if you go to Adeline's French-secrets.com and you just sign up there. You'll start getting the stories.
You'll start getting it. And if you go to the blog page and just link on a blog, you know, you can start reading. And at the bottom of some of them, you can sign up right there.
Yeah, join the story club.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I loved, like, the PS that you put out the other day was these cards, that an incredible photo of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Very timely because of the sad fire at Notre Dame recently. Yeah. And the thing, here's what's cool about Adeline, you guys. Notre Dame happened, right? She's French. All of us feel connected to Notre Dame. If you've ever visited Paris, you're like, oh,
it's amazing. Yeah.
Right. And so she said, I love looking at these postcards, not postcards, but cards, particularly now, because it makes me smile and think about I don't know, just the way you just made me from like, how sad Notre Dame, I don't want to think about that, that's terrible, to like, yes, maybe I kind of want those note cards, because then I can remember Notre Dame and embrace the whole like experience.
Yeah. And it will be rebuilt, you know, and it is part of all of us. And that's what makes me smile when I look at those photographs, because I just know it is a part, it's such history, and it's a part of all of us. And I don't want to put it in a drawer and put it away.
Yes, right. And that is my instinct. Oh, Notre Dame, sad, fire, terrible. Forget about that. Think of flowers and happy stuff. But you have made it into something that's like pleasant and to be celebrated. It's really the same way.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I do want to celebrate it. And I know, you know, it will be rebuilt. And keeping it conscious continues that.
Yeah. Well, here's to celebrating the little moments that make up your life.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Jane. This was so much fun.
Oh, so fun. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And if you really want to take your marketing to the next level, I don't know exactly what that level was, but for whatever reason, the 188th time I said to Adeline, you have to be consistent and do it every week. It worked, right? If you want a piece of that action, take a look at our monthly membership. It's called Imperfect Action. And that's where we take you and give you access to me to do like website reviews or Facebook ad reviews, email marketing reviews. We give you a monthly theme to stay you accountable and on task and focused with marketing consistently, so you get consistent results. All right.
Can I say something before you close?
Yeah, yes, of course.
I just want to say how extraordinary Jane's classes are. This is not rehearsed. I'm telling you.
By all means, let me sit back.
They have, I would not be writing right now if it wasn't for your classes, for the work I've done with you. You get to know, you know, you work really, really hard with people to get to know them and to direct, you know, to work with them to get where they need to go. And honestly, I can't recommend them highly enough. I can't thank you highly enough.
Thanks back at you. And you're welcome. I love my job. I love it. And I've seen
I know.
quite a few clients go and pivot and we still work together. Like it's all good.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's,
I'm not giving you up.
I hope not. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Adeline, thank you. You guys, you can find the show notes for this at janehamill.com/French secrets. Okay. I'll put the links there, anything we talked about. Okay. Thanks, Adeline.
Thank you, Jane. Bye.
Everybody have an awesome day.